The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another Urban Legends live stream.
Season 3, guys.
Is the season 3 premiere, and boy, do we have a epic one for you guys tonight. We're going to be talking about the urban legends surrounding churches and cemeteries from across the world. We have some of the top haunted churches from around the world, and then some of the weirdest urban legends that involve cemeteries and some spooky stories about them.
We know we love our spookiness.
So, with that being said, it's going to be a fun stream. Got a lot to talk about, so let's get right on into it.
All right.
Starting off, we have some new videos coming out as well.
Yes. Me and Dakota actually both had 2 drop tonight, too.
I had a cemetery video tonight, and then I got one again on Tuesday night.
Yeah, we had both of them. What's up, Triple X? Lady.
And then I got 2 that I am uploading tonight after this stream. They will premiere probably later this week.
Yeah.
So
I got one I have to upload from the wood investigation to the farmer's house. I've still got to upload that one. And I got the Stonewall house premiering next week sometime. And then I have Ward Shadow House doll investigation premiering the 29th.
I'm trying to fix this camera, guys. It's being stupid.
While Dakota's doing that tonight, right after this stream, me, Dakota, and I think we're going to have old Silas, the silly-ass vampire, joining us. And we are going to do a Sunday vlog on my channel right after this stream. So it's going to be a fun, busy night.
And also, I don't know if you guys have heard, but me and Chris, we are starting our own vlog series. Coming soon. Don't really know much details on what we're going to do, but we will definitely get that started probably within the next couple of weeks.
Ooh.
And then, Nubs, me and Chris, we talked about it today. I think we found our challenge for the para games. What we're going to do is
they are going to be given different challenges every week. Or every 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Well,
yeah.
One of the challenge, me and Chris, we're setting a challenge right now. Me and Chris, we're going to stay overnight in an abandoned house.
Ooh.
So basically like a full-on investigation like we do at a public place, but we're going to do it. We're thinking the Ward Shadow House.
Dude, let me know. I will join y'all for this.
Hey, we got sleeping bags. We're going to bring drinks, snacks.
Dude.
We're going to get...
Let me know. I'm joining y'all on this adventure.
We got the Ward Chat House. We're gonna go get there at like 9-10 o'clock and stay till sunrise the next morning.
I'll be there.
That's our challenge that we're setting down. That's what we're doing.
Yes, I am 100% in.
Me and Chris have already agreed on it. We just got to figure out a day. But that's soon to come. So that's going to be, I challenge anybody that wants to do it.
Yep, y'all got me in on this one.
But we're staying overnight in the abandoned Ward Shadow House. We'll have sleeping bags. snacks,
Doll and
drinks,
we're gonna.
everything.
We should bring dolls too and do
Because the
more
Ward
doll
Cat
related.
House would be the perfect house to do it since it's in good condition
Yeah,
and it's very active. That'll be the perfect house to do it in.
I'm gonna sleep up there in the attic.
We get there at like 10 p.m. and then we stay till sunrise, like 8, 9 o'clock the next morning. It'd be a full-on overnighter in an abandoned house.
No sleep at all, guys.
That's the challenge that me and Chris were doing. And anybody else that wants to join in, feel free to do so.
Oh, y'all definitely, yeah. Yeah. A freaking overnight investigation at the Ward Shadow House. That one or the Devil Playground House will be another decent one. Almost too close.
But I know the Ward Shadow House, that's in pretty good condition, and there's plenty of room right there in the living room to set up the sleeping bag. So
I still got mine from Lake Shawnee, so
that's the plan. That we just got to figure out a day, but that is definitely soon to come. We are very excited to bring that to y'all. That's going to be a good one.
But yes, I'm excited. For those of y'all who don't know what the Paradorable is doing, Paragames. And yeah, y'all should definitely get in on that. Find a partner. I think it starts March 1st. Go check out her video on it. But it is definitely worth it. I was in the last 2 Paragames. And yeah, it will test your abilities. But without further ado, you want to get started on this? You want to start?
Yeah.
You want to do the churches one you found?
We'll do the churches first.
I'll do the 5 weird American cemetery legends. Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So, we're going to start off here with. Sorry, Chris is texting me. All right. So, we're going to start off here with the top 12 most haunted churches from around the world.
Ooh.
Starting off with number 12 is the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral in New York City. As one of the many iconic landmarks in New York City, the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral has had a troubled history. Besides being on top of a catacomb, mortuary vaults opened only once a year. This creepy church is where many priests and holy people are buried. It's rumored a layman also regularly haunts the church and surrounding area to this day. As he is buried in the catacombs, the church has seen many names and faces and lived through violent periods in the city's history, yet eerily, hauntingly beautiful in many ways.
Mm. What's up, Chris?
Number 11 is the Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis in New Mexico. The next haunted church comes out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, the iconic Cathedral Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi. With many people stepping in and out of this church throughout the decades, spirits do tend to linger. There are tombs under the church, which occasionally are blessed and open, which has led to many people seeing and hearing paranormal activity once night falls. The downtown area surrounding the church also tends to see ghostly activity, with many tourists catching shadows, moving, laughing, and sometimes screaming late at night.
Mm-mm.
Number 10 is the Church of Mother of God before the Prague
That
in
sounds like
the
a cult.
Republic. It's a wild looking church. I know that.
It sounds like a cult,
Yeah, right.
like the Tabernacle in Bedford.
Oh, God. Even in daylight, the exterior brick and high Gothic spires are intimidating. A vampire would have to live in the towers like these. The church dates from the 14th century,
Oh wow!
and the old designs and altar paintings seem to move in the dim light. Like most old European churches, this one contains burials and tombs, the most notable being the one of astronomer Tycho Brahe. Okay. Number 9 is the Borgen Stave Church in Norway. The unique architecture of this former church and its location in the middle of a medieval cemetery. The only stone you find here is what's in the foundation. The building is named for the brilliant design it utilizes, consisting of only wood that's cut specifically to fit together without nails or stakes.
Interesting.
The church has stood for more than 1,000 years. Number 8 is the Norwich Cathedral in England. I've heard of this one. Thousands of curious tourists, many of them keen on paranormal activity, they take a tour through this ancient church on a regular basis. The mix of imposing Norman, Romans, and Gothic architecture is only the tip of what makes this church so creepy. The church and surrounding areas are almost 1,000 years old, and they've seen a lot of turbulent history. The site is also home to various hauntings, some of the former bishops, priests, nuns, and other people who were burned at the stake, along with ancient Saxons whose homes and temples were razed to make way for the cathedral, are said to among the ghosts that roam the land. Number 7 is located in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's the St. Paul's however you say that. St. Paul's Church. It's in Key West, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This church proves that Florida is more than just theme parks and beaches. It's a hotspot of historical haunts, too. This church only looks so bright new because it's been rebuilt so many times. Excavations have determined that the site was once a Seminole burial ground. The land was privately owned by the Fleming family before the church was built, and the land was only granted after the widow was assured her husband's remains, already interred on the land, would not be disturbed. Local legend says that the promise was broken, and the ghost of John Williams Charles Fleming still wanders the site. Other apparitions have been reported in the church graveyard. A ghostly group of children who were killed in a fire by a jealous deacon who was trying to take revenge on his unfaithful wife. Ooh, okay. Number 6 is the St. Michael's Chapel in Australia. This is where you can find the famous Hallstatt ossuary collection, which contains the largest collection of painted human skulls. Ooh, okay. The chapel and charnel house date from a time when Catholics had to be buried in the consecrated ground so they could rise from their graves when the end of time came. The result was that many graveyards were crowded, and storing bones or using them for religious displays was one of the ways to solve this problem. So they actually have human bones on display in the church.
That's awesome. I want to go see the church.
Wow.
Ouija board in the church, guy.
Oh, God. I don't know about that now. Number 5 is the St. Andrews in Canada. According to North American standards, St. Andrews is the oldest stone church in Western Canada. It's located in a small suburb of Winnipeg and has stood since 1831. Both the church and the graveyard that surround the site are very haunted. Victims of influenza, typhoid, and tuberculosis from the early colonial era were some of the first to be interred here, and their restless spirits still wander the ground. Number 4 is the St. Michan's Church in Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin.
Before the church was built in 1095, God, it was the site of an Old Norse chapel. It was likely a temple or a burial site before that. Even in this crowded and modern urban setting, the plain-looking church has some amazing interior features and even more dramatic history. The limestone vaults have kept the air dry, creating an ideal environment for preservation. The crypts are filled with coffins and rough stones, a sight to make anyone's hair stand on end. Don't miss the crusader and the 400-year-old nun that is buried in the graveyard. Number 3 is the Cosenza in Italy. It was one of the first sites to be awarded the heritage status as a cathedral or Duomo in 1184. If you visit today, you can see the changes in architecture that have taken place over the centuries, which is one of the features that makes this church so overwhelming. It blends into the surrounding buildings and seems to hide below them. There are various ancient burials in the church, many of which are on display, such as the bones of the cathedral's first priest. Number 2, we've already talked about. That just repeat it. Number 1 is the St. Thomas in New South Wales, Australia. This is a quaint church that has a striking Gothic revival design, but its age and location on a hillside in a semi-rural area hides a tragic history. Legend has it that 2 young boys died in a fire in the bell tower after a prank went horribly wrong. Any kind of light, even candles, angers the restless spirits. Reports of issues with lights flashing on and off have been reported. Even drivers cruising by have apparently had problems with headlights. The surrounding cemetery filled with monuments that date back to 200 years ago.
Damn.
And that is all of them. So that's the top haunted churches in the world.
They were good ones. A couple Australian on there. There was only like 1 or 2 ones in the U.S.
Yeah.
The ones I'm gonna do is the 5 weird American cemetery legends. The first one is the Vampire Lafayette Cemetery. Perhaps it's not surprising that a grave with born in Transylvania and etched on it would invite vampire comparisons. Local legends say that a tree growing over the grave in Lafayette, Colorado, sprung from the stake that killed the vampire inside, and that the red rose bushes nearby are his bloody fingernails. There are also reports of a tale of a tall, slender man in a dark coat with black hair and long fingernails who sometimes sits on the tombstone. It is not clear what the man who bought this plot, Fordo Lava, A miner who died in 1918 would have thought of these stories, especially since he might not have actually been buried there. Speaking of vampires and cemeteries, there's one in Richmond, Virginia called Hollywood Cemetery that
Yeah.
has a big legend.
We need to go to that one.
Yeah, it's a big legend. It was on the Virginia Urban Legends, actually, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But the next one what I'm going to be talking about is the Green Glow of Forest Park Cemetery. This abandoned Forest Park Cemetery, also known as Pinewood Cemetery, near Troy, New York, is known for several urban legends. One of the strangest concerns local taxi drivers who say they pick up fares nearby asking to go home, only to have the passenger mysteriously vanish when they drive past the cemetery. Others tell of a decapitated angel statue that bleeds from its neck. Although the effect may be a tribute to a certain kind of moth, but one of the eeriest parts of the ground is the decapitated mausoleum, said to be home to a green glowing light, often seen right where the coffins used to be located. Number three is the New Orleans tombstone. Is the New Orleans tomb that grant witches. Famed voodoo queen Maria Lavia is buried in arguably the oldest and most famous cemetery in New Orleans. St. Louis Cemetery, or said to be anyway, some dispute around her actual burial spot. For years, visitors hoping to earn Mary supernatural assistance would mark three large X's on her mausoleum. Also, some have also knocked three times on her crypt. However, 2014 residue of her tomb removed the X's, and they're substantial fine now in place for anyone who dares to write. So if you go to her tomb now and put X's on it, you will get fined. Like hardcore. Number four is the Pennsylvania Bleeding Headstone.
The what?
This one.
Bleeding Headstone?
It's in Union Cemetery in Milham. Sorry, I know I'm pronouncing these words wrong. But it has one of the nation's weirdest headstones. It's said to bleed. The grave belongs to 19th century local William or Daniel Mercer, whose descendants tried to replace the tombstone repeatedly, but the blood or something that looked like blood just kept coming back until they added an iron plate on top. Now that's interesting.
Where is this located?
It is Union Cemetery in Mahim, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
So it's not too terribly far. And number five, the last one is Smiley's Ghost in Garland, Texas. A small plot in the Mill Cemetery is home to five members of the Smiley family, who all died the same day. Rumor has it that if you lie down on the grave at midnight, especially on Halloween, you'll find it very difficult to rise back up as the ghost of an old man Smiley tries to pull you down. Oh God. Hoping to add another member to the family internal resting place. Now, that is something that I want to go and actually find out. But those are the five weird urban American cemetery legends.
Interesting.
Very creepy, some of them for sure. Trying to find another one.
All right. So the next one we're going to talk about is located in Huntsville, Alabama, and it's the Didge Children's Playground.
Ooh.
So the weight and import of death has not truly sunk in yet. So the cool headstones and elaborate grave markers must just seem like awesome rocks to play on, but no one will let them. Well, inside the park adjoining Alabama's Maple Hill Cemetery, the largest and oldest in the state, there's a small playground where they can have a place to release that energy. Of course, this cemetery playground sees more ghost hunters than bored children. It seems like do what?
I said interesting.
Yeah. It seems like simple math that a sparse playground built on the grounds of a century-old cemetery would come to have a reputation for being more sinister than silly. But the planners put it in anyway. The small array of simple playground equipment includes swings and a modern jungle gym. It is set in a low spot of the graveyard and surrounded by rocks and trees, making it all that more claustrophobic. As the historic cemetery began running out of room in 2007, officials from the city of Huntsville decided to raise the play area to make room for more burials. The locals were so outraged at the loss of their playground that a new playground was built, bringing the site back from the dead. Today, the playground is known to locals as Dead Children's Playground, and the site has accumulated a deep catalog of supernatural activity. The swings can often be found to sway by themselves. Spheres of cold ghost light can be seen floating around, and even the ghosts of little kids have been spotted playing at midnight. And that's the Dead Children's Playground.
Interesting. But yeah, I want to go to that Richmond Cemetery, Hollywood Cemetery.
Yeah.
That is definitely on my bucket list. And if I'm not mistaken, they sealed that mausoleum or whatever after the vampire went in there.
I don't know. They may have.
But it would still be cool to investigate. My neck hurts.
All right. The next one we're going to be talking about is located in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, this one.
The Ghost of St. Louis Cemetery and the Vampires of the French Quarter. If y'all don't know this cemetery, something's wrong, because this is where Mary LaVille is buried, one of the most famous voodoo queens of New Orleans. So let's begin. Long before New Orleans earned its moniker as the Big Easy and before the French claimed the land, people called the area the Land of Many Tongues. New Orleans evolved for centuries, accumulating diverse cultures and developing its unique and powerful ways. For as many good times as the city has had, the land has witnessed an equal amount, if not more, of horrors, including colonization, slavery, wars, and even natural disasters. Throughout it all, New Orleans' enduring legacy of bizarre and often unexplainable occurrences sprouted myths and urban legends that carry an immense weight that people can still feel today. The Vampires of the French Quarter. Vampires are perhaps the best known urban legend, and many locals believe in the existence of a parasitic nightwalker. The city is even home to an organization for self-identifying vampires.
I got one too.
The next one is about the Carter brothers. This tale is about the two dock-working brothers from the 1930s, John and Wayne Carter. As the story goes, the brothers were vampires and spent their nights roaming the streets for their victims. Eventually, they were arrested and executed. While no legal records support it, some believe that it is true, and the brothers are still very much undead. Rumors of vampires are countless in New Orleans. The most infamous vampire legend is the mysterious case of Jacques Saint Germain. The count was reportedly born sometime between the late 1600s and early 1700s and reappeared in the New Orleans Society as a Saint Germain during the early 1900s. Germain passed himself off as a descendant of the original Count of Saint Germain. He quickly became the toast of New Orleans, but on one frightful night, a young woman reported to the police that he was a vampire and attacked her. The police went to his home and questioned him about the allegations. He explained to the police that the young woman was intoxicated. Nevertheless, the police asked him to visit the station in the morning to give a formal statement. He never arrived and vanished that night without a trace. Numerous sightings of a man known as Jack have occurred throughout the years to the present day, and there are those who believe that this strange man named Jack is the Count of Saint Germain looking for his next victim. The next one is quite interesting. It's the Casket Girls. Pale from their journey, which they arrived in New Orleans in 1728. The young women became known as Phyllis Cassette for their casket-shaped coffer chest. They were to stay with the sisters of the Ursuline convent until finding marriage. However, the Casket Girls were viewed as outcasts, and due to their mistreatment, French officials decided that they should return to France. The sisters went to find the girls and help them pack their chests, but the girls, along with their possessions, had vanished. Following the girls' sudden disappearance, they faced accusations of being vampires from time to time, and especially on foggy nights. Visitors of the French Quarter have witnessed pale-looking young women lurking around the old place they once called home. Okay. The next one is about Henry Vines, who was a wayward sailor who would stay at a boarding house in New Orleans awaiting ships. All Vines had to do was his name and his family tomb information. While he was at sea, the crooked owner of the boarding house sold the family tomb. Vines died not long after and was given an unmarked burial in the pauper section of St. Louis Cemetery. According to legend, he still wanders the cemetery looking for his family's tomb, often asking visitors if they know where the tomb is, only to then vanish into thin air. All right, the next one is the Voodoo Queen, Marie Laveau. The most famous resident of St. Louis Cemetery is Marie Laveau, the Voodoo Queen of New Orleans. Many cemetery visitors believe that they have seen her spirit strolling between the labyrinth of tombs. Visitors often stop by her tomb with an offering and a wish, hoping she'll see the desired wish to fruition from the afterlife. And that is the urban legends of the St. Louis Cemetery.
I got 4 of them in Connecticut.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Connecticut,
One of them,
it's a good state for haunted places too.
and one of them everybody should know. The first one I'm going to talk about is Evergreen Cemetery in New Haven, Connecticut. Legend has it that in 1824, Mary E. Hart fell to the floor and was deemed dead by her family. They properly buried her, but after a vision by an aunt, the family exhumed the body only to find that Hart had clawed at the top of the casket before eventually dying. Midnight Mary, as she has been called, is said to still stalk the grounds. The next one is Green Hill Cemetery in Seymour, Connecticut. Local folklore has it that a former caretaker of the cemetery, who had a hook for a hand, hung himself from a tree in the cemetery. Legend dic- 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 bleh. Legend dictates that those who park their car under that tree will hear scratching of a hook. The story has given way to the cemetery nickname Hookman Cemetery.
Hookman Cemetery.
And then we got Guntown Cemetery in, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's Naugatuck, Connecticut. Deep in Naugatuck is a cemetery that paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren deem haunted. From fighting,
Oh, that's the Annabelle Cemetery.
uh-huh, fighting from a man leading a horse through a cemetery to reports of music playing out the thin air. The cemetery is said to boost a variety of haunts. And then the last one is not a cemetery, but it is Holy Land, USA, in Waterbury, Connecticut. Anyone who has driven through Waterbury has seen a huge cross on the hill overlooking I-84. It is the symbol of Holy Land, USA, a religious theme park that has been slowly decaying since the 1980s. Sorry. It was eradicated by Catholic attorney John Gurus in 1955. It is said that people will come here, visit by the busload, and it has creepy history. But that is all the ones that I found. But that one in Connecticut, I definitely had to because, I mean, oh, I found another one. One more. Seventh Day Baptist Cemetery in Burlington, Connecticut. Guests of this haunted graveyard report seeing a green mist to which they say belongs to the Green Lady. That's another one that's famous.
I ain't
The
heard that.
legend goes, really? Oh. The legend goes that Elizabeth Palmer died in the 19th century after drowning in a nearby swamp. She called for help, but alas, no one heard her scream. She is said to still stalk the cemetery grounds at night. Oh, I found one more, and this is the last one, guys. Stepney Cemetery in Monroe, Connecticut. The first in Connecticut white lady ghost on this list, so there's a bunch of them. This apparition is said to be seen wandering the cemetery, while the light lady of this cemetery is often overshadowed by the one in Union Cemetery. One thing that stands out about this cemetery is that Ed and famous paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren are actually buried in this cemetery.
Do what?
Ed and Lorraine Warren are actually buried in that cemetery.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, we got the most famous cemetery in Connecticut, Union Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps one of the spookiest spots in Connecticut, according to the Daily Voice. This cemetery was subject of paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren book Graveyard. Legend says that the cemetery is haunted by the spirit called the White Lady, who is said to have been killed there after murdering her husband. She has said to dive in the front of cars only to have the driver stop and see nothing on the road. There is a rumor that the spirit that roams the ground called Red Eyes, who watches guests in the cemetery in the shadow. But that is the last one, and like I said, those are all in Connecticut.
Nice. All right, the final cemetery that we have for tonight. This is gonna wrap up all the urban legends. Is located in Spokane, Washington. It is Greenwood Cemetery.
I've heard of this one.
The staircase at the Greenwood Cemetery in Washington is more than just a little haunted. If you walk up the stairs without any lights on, the story goes you will see the faces of men, women, and children when you reach the top. Those that are brave enough to climb the stairs will also hear, they say, the shrieks and cries of the dead, and they will feel something akin to rain on their skin. Supposedly the site of satanic rituals, the staircase dubbed 1,000 steps because nobody can make it to the top according to the legend, leads from the side of an access road up to the cemetery. Renovations made years ago have rendered the staircase unnecessary, and it sits decaying and rarely, if ever, used by standard visitors. Even if you are able to make it to the top of the staircase without being overcome by fear and don't experience the presence of ghosts, you will still see beautiful landscaping and 100-year-old tombstones.
Mm.
And that is the Greenwood Cemetery in Washington.
Me and Dakota did a cemetery in the town I live in. Me, Dakota, and Rob, Gretna Cemetery. And the second part of the cemetery, we were filming, and there was 2 trains. Right.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like, I've never seen that happen since, and I've never seen it happen before. But it was really, really awesome and creepy because they were like legit right behind each other.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, definitely want to do the Greenwood, but it's said on the thing to be careful because it's where the stairs are, it's considered private property. So if the cops catch you, they can write you for trespassing.
Yeah. But guys, in about 5 minutes, I will be live on my channel for Sunday vlog.
But that's the top urban legends for the churches and cemeteries. Next week,
I was about to tell them next week what we were going to do.
On nubz' channel, we're going to be talking about the urban legends of
schools and hospitals.
Schools and hospitals.
We got a lot for season 3, and we even got season 4 down, guys. So,
but see, next week's episode is gonna be a wild one because I mean, you got mental hospitals, you got regular hospitals, you got morgues, you got whatever. So there is a ton to talk about when it comes to hospitals and mental asylums and stuff like that. So next week's episode is definitely gonna be one that you don't want to miss.
Yep. But guys, I'm gonna hop off here and get my stream set, Dakota. I'll see you in a few minutes. I'll send you the link.
But hope you guys enjoyed this one, talking about the urban legends of churches and cemeteries from the U.S. and around the world. More definitely between me, Chris, and nubz. Plenty of videos still to come. Got one dropping Tuesday and then some more dropping later this week. Hope you guys will check them out. Go sub to nubz and Chris over at Shadow Seekers. And until next time, we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you, fam.